Well, hello, internet friends near and far. Welcome to another episode of Parks and Conversation. And this is a podcast where we just take a few minutes to watch an episode of Parks and Rec, and then we talk about it. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. It's not brain surgery, but it is fun. And that's all we're here for, fun. And so I'm Jason, and I'm joined all the way across town by my friend Jeremy. Say hello, Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going so well. It is a beautiful, not rainy Friday morning as we're recording this. And I can't complain.
I love how you give the weather update like every week.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping someday, I am looking right out my window in my office, but someday somebody might listen to this and they might think, man, I could really use a sunny day. And they would listen to it and be like, wow, at least it was sunny on that day. And then they can put themselves in a sunny frame of mind. Or if they're like, man, it's so hot, and I could say, it's raining here today, they're like, man, I remember rain. So just trying to do a service here.
The other thing that's not weather related, speaking of weather, you can get a PhD in rocket science, and you can get a PhD in brain surgery.
I think that would be a medical doctor. I think that would be an MD.
Right. What, degrees. How come you can't get a degree in fun?
You can.
Oh,
I have a friend, Christy, who, you don't know this, Christy. I went to high school with her, but she has a degree in recreation.
What?
Yeah, that's a real program that you can take.
What do you even do? Because this is related. This is parks and recreation.
Yes.
So it's the recreation part, like parks.
Yeah,
I get it. Like, here's a field. Go play. Like, do you teach people how to play in the park? Is that why it's put together? This story is out the window now. We're not even talking about the episode.
There are several related fields that you can go into with a recreation degree. Mm-hmm. I didn't mean to do that, but I'll take it. So you can do things like work for the Parks Department, National Forest Service. You can get into physical education, rehab. Like, there's all kinds of different stuff. You can get into rehab with any degree, but rehab doesn't depend on degree sometimes. There's all kinds of different things that you can do with a recreation degree. Because I asked Christy this, because I went to high school with her and then I didn't see her for like 15 years. And I'm like, so what are you doing now? And she said, I have a recreation degree. And I laughed. And I said, what is that? And then she educated me. So,
oh man,
it's a real thing.
But recreation, you can't just get a degree in hanging out or camping or ultimate frisbee. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you can't. It's like fun.
I don't know. I mean, you grew up closer to Evergreen College than I did. Isn't that one of the programs down there?
I think so. Yeah, just fun.
Advanced fun.
Oh,
what are you going to next? Well, I just finished up my quilting dynamics class, and now I'm going to hacky sack and you 301.
Yeah, I had to retake advanced fun because last year was a real bummer. So
yeah, everybody with a fun degree in 2020 was like, how do you even apply this to real life? When am I ever going to have fun again? Like, your teacher going, you need to know math. You're not going to have a calculator all the time.
This degree means nothing. It's a worthless degree. Okay. Now we should talk about this episode.
Speaking of worth nothing, let's talk about claymation. So
how dare you?
You know what? I don't often get really excited about the titles of our podcasts.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw which it was great.
But I'm already going with the title for this one, and I'm locked in. No one can change my mind. Sometimes Claymaish dunks you.
Perfect.
It works on so many levels.
Yeah.
So
stand in the place.
Yeah. So we are talking about season 4, episode 11, The Comeback Kid. And last week, Leslie's campaign managers dropped her like a bad habit, and the Parks Department said, we're going to do this for you. And also, Ben turned down a really secure job as an in-house accountant for an accounting firm. And so now we're kind of re-establishing equilibrium in this episode. Now, I know we often say at the end, what we feel about this episode, but this episode I can't wait until the end to tell people what I feel about it.
So why wait?
Exactly. I love it. This is maybe my favorite episode of season 4.
I concur. This episode has 2 of probably my absolute favorite jokes that I could watch. I could watch it every single time and I laugh out loud.
Okay. When we get to them,
I will let you know.
Let us know. So this episode starts with the cold open with Leslie coming into the park's office, and everybody's there. And she's like, I know I can't talk about my campaign here, but last night I made a decision about my campaign manager, and it's going to be, and as she's saying that, everybody is like doing something else, avoiding eye contact. And the obvious answer for everybody is Anne.
Mm-hmm.
And she does choose Anne, and Ron's like, good choice. Yeah, so she is choosing Anne and is like, I don't know how to do this. And Leslie's response is, you're smart as a whip, you're cool under pressure, you resuscitated a human heart in your bare hands. And Anne's like, no, I haven't, which is very rare. I don't know any nurse who's done that.
But you will. You will.
And so Anne's response, like everybody else's response in this situation, would be, what about Ben?
Right.
He ran for mayor and won when he was 18 years old. He's a natural selection. And Leslie's just like, no, this whole reason my campaign ended with these managers is because of Ben. Like, I can't bring him on because he's the reason I'm starting over. And so she's going with Anne, and her first role is to start dressing like a campaign manager. And Leslie's like, I don't want to have this conversation again. And Anne just says, you just hired me 8 seconds ago. And you're doing a really bad job, is April's response. So pretty good cold open. The gang's all there in the parks department. Like, everybody's doing things and they're on board with Leslie. It's so great. So then credits happen. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the things I noticed too, like, I don't know why last night of all times I watched this episode, but like when April is making these really sarcastic comments and stuff, one of the suspensions of belief is like the way they treat Jerry and stuff, like nobody ever tells April to calm, like she could just say whatever she wants without any recourse. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh wow, you're doing a really bad, like in a real world setting, like, and somebody would say, thanks April, that's really constructive, or you know what I mean, like, but that's not funny. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that just kind of bothered me.
Well, Jeremy,
I'm over it now.
I'm sorry they did that to you.
Now that I told the internet my feelings.
Yeah, way to go, Jeremy. April is I think people have probably at some point tried to tell April that's not very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And then she stabbed them in the face. So they found that's less helpful.
Right.
So I'm going to just let April be April and just keep doing my job and get out of April's way.
Sure.
Probably the best way to go. So Leslie goes out into the hallway. She runs into her former campaign managers, William and Elizabeth, brother and sister. And Leslie's like, are you guys coming to see me? And like, no, we're actually looking for other people. And she's like, oh, you just dropped me and started looking for other folks. And like, and their response like, that's our job. So they are, so they're, Leslie's kind of like flustered by seeing them. And she's like, no, I've got it good. I've got a new team. We're doing great. And right at that time, Andy comes out and says, Leslie, I tried to make ramen in the coffee pot and I broke everything. Which, let's talk about the science. That would be, what would you do? How would you, Jeremy, if you were trying to make ramen in a coffee pot, what would your system be? And what flavor ramen would you use?
Oh, this is a great question. Well, I haven't really thought about this, but now that I think about it, I think the best way to do it would be put it in the basket, because then as the water goes over top of it, it's softening it, it's cooking it, but then the water, you don't have to drain it afterwards. And so then you just have a basket of ramen, I think.
Okay. So Jeremy,
maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
I get it. I get what you're saying. And that is the approach that my parents took to making ramen when I was growing up.
In a coffee pot?
No, like it's a noodle dish, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't until I married my wife and she made ramen and ate it as a soup that I was
Yeah.
like, wait, what?
Well, that's the way I was raised. Is like
Okay.
you put it in the pot with like way too much water and everything, and then your sodium packet, and then mix it all in there.
Mhm.
Right. And it's
So
like a
you
soup.
ate it as a soup growing up.
Yeah, but mostly just in a cup of noodles. I was raised mostly on cup of noodles, not
See,
ramen bricks.
yeah, my brain did not equate ramen and cup of noodle
Oh,
because one was in a cup, the other was not, and we never thought to create a ramen soup.
brick of
So
noodle.
yeah, bricko noodle. So the form, like my brain didn't like make the translation into no, this is just conical now, or cylindrical, and so yeah. So do you eat ramen as a soup now, or do you eat it as a noodle dish?
My wife makes it that way, but because of and it's fine, but I don't. The broth isn't like the important bit for me. It is the noodles. It's like noodles with flavor because I've always found
Interesting.
it too salty. So yeah, I usually dump it out. Like my cup of noodles, fill it up, take the lid halfway back. Then you put the hot water in it.
Yeah,
Let it soak for 3 minutes.
I'm with you.
Yeah, and then I put the lid because you're supposed to put the lid back over, keeps the steam and heat in there.
Yeah.
And
How do you secure the lid back down?
Well, I just would, you just kind of fold it back over, use the
Really?
moisture. Oh yeah,
Jeremy, can I share something with you?
put a fork across the top or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
brilliant.
then I'd dump out the water.
You dump out the water. Interesting.
Oh yeah,
So
get rid of all that.
so now that I've come back to full like ramen soup appreciation, I leave the water in, and I really like it as a soup now.
Yeah,
So
I could eat it faster. There was games to play, recreation to be had. So I didn't. I wasn't like when I was 12. I wasn't into like savoring my soup like some like old person.
like an old person. That's some good soup.
No offense.
Yeah. So I thought about how I would do this, and I would put the ramen in the carafe,
in the carafe, yeah,
and then let the water. I would put the seasoning packet in a filter in the basket, and then let that flavor down into the ramen.
You're a madman.
So then it would be just a little, like a hint of flavoring,
Just a
but
smack
not
of
as
flavor.
salty.
Well, but then like, don't you think eating out of the carafe would be difficult?
I would then transfer it to a bowl.
Oh my gosh! Now you're doing dishes. That's not the point of all this. It's like a calzone. You're supposed to just carry it around with you. You're done.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're right. I didn't think it all through. I wonder if Andy.
I don't think Andy thought it through at all.
Yeah. So this is what I'm wondering now is like, how did he break everything? So
Right.
I wonder if he took a cup o noodle and jammed it in to the
Like a Keurig? Like it's
yeah, like a Keurig.
Dude, why don't they have that? That's what we need. We need cup of Keurigs.
They do have cup of Keurigs
Oh.
for Keurig. It's just one cup of coffee.
Oh, no noodles. We need like a noodle Keurig machine.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a rad? Like you just put in like your flavor of cup o noodle and just like slam it down, which would feel so like cathartic.
Internet, don't steal this idea.
And then
we're kickstarting this in fall of 2024.
Sure. And then it does all the magic of ramen in the holder there. And then it pops up, and like when it pops up, my big challenge with Keurig is how wasteful it is. So when it pops up, you're still using the bowl
right
for your, the styrofoam cup.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't put a hole through that, but it takes the lid all the way off.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Game changer.
Yeah. Anyway, so Andy broke the thing, and William is like, "Yeah, well, good luck, Leslie." And Leslie's like, "We don't need luck." And then it goes to a talking head. Where
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait, this just dawned on me. What if he put the seasoning in the water portion, and so
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he filled the water up, and then he put his seasoning packet through there, and it just gummed up the whole system.
Yeah, anything's possible.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that just reminds me. I am currently cleaning out my coffee pot. So,
Like right now?
well, yeah, it's an hour-long cleaning process.
Oh, just like our podcast.
Yeah, exactly. This is a cleaning process. My therapist said, you need to talk to somebody. Like, I know somebody.
It's the internet.
I know somebody to talk to. My friend Jeremy.
Yeah.
So Leslie's like, we don't need luck. And then it gets to a talking head where it's like, yeah, I no longer have a highly trained professional campaign manager. So what? Are most murders committed by highly trained professional assassins? No. They're committed by friends and coworkers.
The exact people who are running her campaign.
Yeah. So it's great. So then, so we're going to pause there and then we'll zero over to Ben's life, because Ben is recently resigned in disgrace and so he's trying to figure his life out. So we got back to his house. He's living with April and Andy, and he's sitting there reading the book, and a 3-legged dog comes in. April and Andy are frantic because they lost their dog already. So they're running into the house, champion. And there he is. He's a good boy. And Ben's only response, and it's still the response I have when I see a 3-legged dog, is, that's a 3-legged dog. Like, there's no good words to this. And then he asks, how many legs did that dog have when you found him?
He said, I have to ask. Sorry, because that just adds to it.
Yeah, he knows them. He knows April and Andy. Like, I have to ask, how many did he have when you found him? And they said 3, and that's what makes him a best. He can do all kinds of things better with 3 legs than most dogs can with 4. But April points out, except digging, he's really bad at digging, which is very funny.
Did you notice the book that he was reading?
No.
Into the Den of Lions by Gay Perello?
I've never heard of this book.
It's not a real book. So because for some, like on rewatches, sometimes like, oh yeah, I love the scene, and so you start noticing other things. He is the props master for the show.
Okay.
Gay Perello, and so he made the book. But it was also, so then I was like, oh wow, that's okay, cool. And that probably the sugar rice pops he was eating out of the box, which I think is hilarious, because that's the best way to eat cereal, in my opinion. But then, so looking into it, back in like episode 2, during one of the Christmas ones, Leslie's reading a newspaper, and this is the internet. I didn't find this, but looking into it, there is an ad for the book, the #1 bestseller, Into the Den of Lions, is on the back of the newspaper back 2 seasons ago. So anyway,
that's hilarious,
and it actually comes up again later in a different show. There you
what?
Go. Oh yeah,
is it 9/9?
No.
Oh, The Good Place.
It is The Good Place. Yeah.
Oh man,
it's
an
ad
excited.
it's an ad for the sequel. Anyway, I love this so much, all these things. So I'm going to keep trying to find more, because I think as Parks and Rec gets off the ground, they can start really, they do more and more of these things throughout the episodes, the callbacks and stuff. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So they now have a 3-legged dog, and Ben's like, look, I'm not going to help you take care of it. And April's like, well, it'd be nice if you helped a little, because Andy and I have jobs. So
cruel but fair. Like,
yeah,
like that's one of those lines where it's like, you know what, forget you, man, I didn't get this stuff. And he's like, well, yeah, actually, yeah.
accurate. So let's follow the Ben train here. So Ben is next time we see Ben, he's at home, and he is reading instructions for calzones. Last week we saw him eating pasta with April or Leslie, and he's like, man, I love me a calzone. And so now he's learning how to make calzones. And Ben comes up, not Ben, Chris comes over to see how he's doing. And Ben is like, I'm great. I'm learning how to make a calzone. As you Americans would say, calzones. And he's like, do you want one? And Chris is just like, no, they're fatty and unnecessary, which I love his just direct, like, no.
Yeah.
And so he's like, look, I just am looking out for you, see how you're doing. And Ben again says, yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing whatever fun activity pops into my head. And like, I'm teaching myself how to do claymation videos. And he holds up the little doll thing. Isn't that so cool? And
it's a figure, but you know what? Yeah.
Well, yeah, sorry, my bad. And cuts to a talking head of Chris. He's like, Ben is massively depressed. So just scroll down for a bit here, and then we come back to Chris, and so Chris asks like, why calzones? And he's like, Hey, have you ever noticed there's fast hamburgers, fast food for Mexican food, but why not fast food for Italian food? Chris's response is, what about pizza?
Pizza? Never heard of it.
That's what they're going to say in 20 years because pizza is going to be old news because he's going to revolutionize the world with his calzone. And then it's like, let me in on your little secret here. I'm going to call my new Italian fast casual eatery the low cal calzone zone. It's all low fat ingredients. And again, Chris says that idea is literally the greatest idea I've ever heard in my life. Talking head, that idea is terrible.
Chris is just trying to be a good friend, like,
right.
It is a terrible idea, but you can't say that to a person who's in the middle of calzone and claymation making.
Right. He's not ready for it.
Mm-mm.
And so the next scene is like, hey, why don't we go for a jog, kick out some of the cobwebs? And Ben's like, no, I'm kind of tearing this claymation video a new one right now. And I appreciate the art of claymation. Like, I really good claymation is really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
The making of claymation sounds like a nightmare. It sounds so hard.
I have done some stop motion in the past, and it's quite relaxing. It's fun.
Okay.
But it's a lot. It's a lot.
I'll take your word for it because it sounds so tedious.
Yeah, you move it, you take a picture. You move it, you take another picture. You move it, you take a picture. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. So Ben is doing that.
Boom. Avatar. Like, you're done. Like, that's.
And Chris is like, you need to take a step back, get some perspective. And Ben is just like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, I think you need help. Ben's response is, with my claymation, with your life. And then the cut to the talking head of Ben is so great. He's like, because Chris tells him, you're depressed. And Ben's like, depressed? And he's holding the figure in his hand. He's like, could a depressed person do this? And he's holding it up to the camera. No.
It is a very sad looking figure.
It's not smooth at all.
It doesn't have like a happy face on it. It's like
it looks like
it embodies
it is
depression.
Yes. And even I found this on the internet as I was looking at stuff, like his Letters to Cleo shirt.
Yeah.
Like that for Chris is going to be a trigger that Ben's not feeling great. But the Letters to Cleo is actually one of the writers was in Letters to Cleo.
Oh, cool.
And so like it's his band. Which is a real band, not just a fake band like the fake book. Yeah. So he
unlike Land Ho, that's not a real band.
No, but it has a real people in it.
It does.
I feel like it is Wilco.
Yeah.
Right?
It's Wilco.
So anyway.
Down the road.
Yeah, so cut back and Chris is like, look, the Ben Wyatt I know wouldn't be happy just sitting around, faffing around. I don't know what faffing is, but they use it. And Ben's like, no, I'm into my hobbies. Let me show you what I've been working hard. Just hang on to your hat. And so he hits play, and it's the REM song. It's called Requiem for a Tuesday, which already any movie with the title with Requiem in it, it's sad. It's made from a sad place. So Requiem for a Tuesday. And thinking back to when he resigned in disgrace, he resigned on a Monday.
Oh, that's funny.
And so Tuesday is like his first day of quote unquote freedom. Right. So he's doing all the work. And it's the REM song. I don't remember what that song is called.
Stand.
It's called Stand. Okay, so stand in the place where you are. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I like REM. But so it's like a music video with Claymaish, essentially, is what he's trying to do. And it's stand in the place where you, and it stops. And Chris is so supportive, so kind. He's like, did you pause it?
This right here, that right there, it was the edit. The music stops, the black screen, That right there is one of my absolute favorite jokes in all of Parks and Recreation.
Did you pause it?
Did you pause it?
And so he's like, no, that's 3 weeks of work. And it's only, I thought it would be so much longer. And he says, in my head, I thought it was really cool. 2 days ago, I emailed Leslie and compared it to Avatar, Chris. How can it not be longer?
I know. You're right.
Avatar. So Chris, like, we're gonna get through this, friend.
and Chris's response is, look, okay, what you're feeling right now is regret and shame.
Yes.
You see what you have brought into the world.
Regret and shame. So yeah. So Chris is not giving up on his friend. And so next time we see Chris, he comes back, he's like, drink up because it has every herb in my herb belt. Which I love that idea. Just all of his supplements in a belt, like Batman. And Ben is like, his response is, oh, it tastes like a belt. Yeah, but it works.
Yeah. I know, isn't it awful?
Yeah.
But he's like so happy about it.
Yeah, because it'll turn your mouth into a spaceship. So then Ben's like, how did you know I was depressed?
My wife got really sick last night. Ooh. And actually threw up.
Ooh.
And so I was getting her some water. I was like, you want some water? And she goes, I don't think so. My mouth feels really, really weird right now. And I said, like a spaceship. I don't think she appreciated it at the moment, but hopefully we'll be able to look back and laugh.
Is she feeling better now?
Oh yeah, she's good.
Okay. Ooh. Yep. Throwing up's the worst.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Ben is like, I didn't even know I was depressed. How did you know? And so he says, like, the letters to Cleo shirt, unshaven face, Doc Martens. Your hair does not have that normal, uptight, rigid, inflexible Ben Wyatt sense of fun. So, yeah, he's like, you can't hide these things from friends. And so Ben's like, thank you. I think I'm feeling better. Herbal smoothie, you've done it again. So, yeah. So that is some really wonderful benning right there.
Yeah.
So I compared it to Avatar.
And how is it not longer? Like, I love that was his, like,
yeah.
Even if it's not good, there should be more of it. Like a calzone. At least there's a lot of calzone. It might not be great. There's a lot of it.
But you'll definitely regret eating it. So,
yeah.
All right. So then we come back to Leslie and Anne, and they're having a meeting with the team. And so their campaign theme is the comeback kid, because everybody loves a good comeback story. Rocky, Robert Downey Jr., and Andy contributes by saying, Terminator said, I'll be back. And he was. So
it's true.
And then Tom is like, also the casual Hawaiian shirt is making a comeback because Jerry is wearing a casual Hawaiian shirt. He's like, oh, I'm ahead of the trend. And Tom's like, no, it's not. Take it off. Burn it. So the team has rented the Pawnee Sports Building. So
I just love the name of it. It's not athletic complex. It's sports building.
Sports building.
What do you do there? Sports
and or building for fun. So it's all locked up, finalized, rented, and so they're on their way to this whole thing. Ron is going to construct a stage, and he has a talking head where he says, I don't want to paint with a broad brush here, but every single contractor in the world is a miserable, incompetent thief. So it's got that going for him. So yeah, so that Tom, everybody's got a job to do to make this campaign event happen. And so Leslie and Anne meet, and she's like, hey, you look like a real campaign manager. And Anne's like, yeah, I Googled it. And they wear a lot of dark colors. And Leslie's response, like, there's a lot more to look at on the internet beside naked guys, Anne.
It's like, wait, what?
So Anne is making things happen. And so she's got local hero Pistol Pete DeCelio will be endorsing Leslie and coming to the campaign. He is Indiana's huge on basketball, and when he was in high school in 1992, he clinched the comeback victory for the Pawnee Central Drunken Savages. Team mascot later changed. So Pistol Pete is a big deal. And so it's going to be awesome to have him at the campaign. Everything's looking good. Cut to Tom and Ron and April and Andy, and they are at the hardware store. And Tom is coordinating a red carpet vendor for the event.
That, of course, Pawnee has.
Right. Because Akash is the best carpet man in Pawnee. And so Tom says his entire apartment is red carpet. And on top of that, leading into my bedroom, a second red carpet. And what's this in my shoe? Red carpet insoles. So everywhere I go, I'm walking on red carpet.
So if he goes home and is walking to his bedroom in his shoes, 3 layers of red carpet.
Yeah. I mean, think of the luxury.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly that's an important person.
Yeah.
And so they're loading up all this lumber for building the stage in a big truck. And it's like a I don't know, what kind of truck would this be?
It's like a flatbed. It's like a flatbed with sides on it. Yeah.
Yeah. But it only has one bench seat in the front. Mm-hmm. And there's already 4 people and a dog. And Tom is trying to get in. He's like, scoot over. And like, no, April's like, no, here, sit on my lap. And Tom says, no, that's humiliating. And Ron's response is, now be a man and sit on that girl's lap. And so he gets in and they're driving around. And Champion is licking Andy's face. And Andy is like, Champion's a better kisser than April is, which is weird to say to your wife. And then Andy is just overwhelmed with being in a truck that has an air horn. And so he starts pulling it.
Too much power.
Yeah. And like, do it for the kids. He pulls it for the kids. And then a police officer starts making the siren go off. And he's like, the police hear it too. And he's like, we hear you, buddy. And he honks more. And then cut to them being pulled over. And Ron, Ronning it up pretty good. Says, I've been operating heavy machinery since I was 8 years old. And I respect all that you do for this country. But what laws am I breaking exactly? And the police officer says a lot of laws. 4 people in the front seat. Nobody's wearing a seatbelt. You're speeding and blasting your horn through a hospital zone. The rear of the vehicle is open. Debris has been falling out. And you don't have a commercial license to drive a truck. And Ron's response is, we have a philosophical difference on what constitutes a law. So they are just told to get out of the truck. And April calls Anne to say, hey, we're about to be arrested. And cut back to Anne and Leslie at the house. And Leslie is freaking out because, they're going to arrest her whole campaign. And so she's like, okay, I have to go. And Leslie tells, did I skip something?
Yeah, it's okay. Basically, Pete came over and introduced himself. And the best joke there was, or one of the best jokes was, you probably remember my voice, like we were overlapped at Pawnee Central. You probably remember my voice from the morning announcements, like, because that was such a big deal for Leslie, but like nobody else. And then finally she gets really excited because it's all coming together. And so she starts breakdancing and does a very bad job.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Oh man. I color coded all these different sections and I just followed the code and I skipped some great stuff. And part of that skipping as well is they're asking Pete to do the dunk, to come out and endorse Leslie and do the dunk. He's like, no, I don't want to do that. It feels like I'm living in the past. And Leslie's response is, but the past is great. The Jitterbug, state coaches, Herman Munster. And Pete
those are all great things, but
sure,
those are the things you picked.
Yeah, it's interesting. Herman Munster.
Yeah. Did you hear that Rob Zombie is making a Munsters movie?
I don't know how I would have ever heard of that.
Well, you heard it here first.
Yeah, wow.
on the Parks and Conversation podcast.
Yeah, breaking news. If we can't get the corner on Parks podcasting because Rob Lowe and Alan Yang are running a podcast now, like, then we got to at least get the corner on Rob Zombie animated movies.
Sure.
Oh, it's not animated? It's live action?
Live action. Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
You guys. It's live action, The Munsters. So, wow. I mean, I'm excited to save money by not going to that. So, yes. So Leslie's asking Pete to do the dunk, right? And he's like, look, I think you've done great stuff and I'm happy to endorse you as Peter DeCilio, regional distributor for Derwin ham loaves.
That's how you want to be remembered. No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I might be okay living in the past if I'm a ham loaf distributor. I don't know. Is that bad? Is that bad of me?
But I just love that. That's a thing that somebody wrote down. Regional distributor for Derwin ham loaves.
What the heck even is a ham loaf?
It's the sandwich ham.
Oh,
that like you go to the deli and they shave off. That's a ham loaf.
Yeah, they got to come from somewhere. And Pete DeSilio is your guy.
There are all kinds of interesting jobs out there.
Sure.
But very rarely are those jobs mentioned in a 22-minute sitcom.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, here we are lifting up the ham industry. So he's like, I'm not going to do it if you want me to do the dunk. And Anne responses, well, what about a layup?
Very political.
Yeah. So now Anne is getting the call from April and basically saying they're going to get arrested. And Leslie's like, I got to go help them because police love me, essentially. And you have to get Pistol Pete to make that shot. And so he leaves and Leslie's like, she's gone. So I'm going to fast forward here a bit. But before she leaves, she says, don't do anything that would require you to tempt him with sexual favors. I wasn't going to, unless it's good, I wouldn't either. That's where I draw the line. Although I'm a little offended you wouldn't do it for me. Anyway, so so now Anne and Pete are talking, and Anne's like, look, I mean, it would mean so much for us. You're a living legend. They still air your game every Friday night. And Pete's like, being a living legend is sort of a double-edged sword. Everybody in this town still calls me Pistol. And Anne's like, tell me more about that, Peter. I mean, yes, the dunk. It made me famous, but sometimes life dunks you.
Yeah, and he ended up being a ham distributor. I don't know.
For Derwin ham loaves. So then we cut back. Leslie is trying to, Ron and the whole gang, they have to unload everything into a much smaller vehicle. So they don't have nearly as much wood to build the stage, but they're loaded it up and they're making it happen. And the officer lets them go. So they're on their way. And
Champion has to go to the bathroom, but they didn't let him.
He shall do it in the car. And Leslie's trying to call Anne, and Anne doesn't listen or answer because she's talking to Pete. And, he's talking about growing up in a strict Roman Catholic household. And his father, who was more stick than carrot when it came to matters of discipline, like intense stuff. So, so then they get to the sports building, Pawnee Sport Building, and still no word from Anne. And April, Leslie asks April how it's looking out there, and it's like, well, except for it's not a basketball court, it's a skating rink. Because the stupid guy I called to book the place didn't tell me that they took the basketball floor off for a hockey game. But he might have told her, but he was stupid and boring. I wasn't listening. Either way, it was all his fault. So, and then Leslie asks Ron, how's the stage coming? And since they had to get rid of so much, it's about like 4.5 feet off the ground and maybe 4x5 for a stage. Maybe like it's not good. And then Leslie sees that. She's like, okay, well, Andy, what happened to the rest? Well, how's the poster? And Andy says, well, we had to Jetsons most of the poster too, because it's just her eyes. And he says, I like it because eyes are the windows, or because windows are the eyes to the house. I wrote it down. I wanted to make sure I got it right. I butchered it, but windows are the eyes to the house.
And even Tom's like, wow.
But then Anne shows up and she's like, okay, I got Pistol Pete. And where is he? And he's like, well, right now he's curled up in the back of my car crying and talking about his dad, who was a real piece of work. But
I might be too close in the situation.
Yeah, she's really invested in Pistol Pete's life right now. And Les is like, is he going to do the dunk? And Anne's response is, I'm not sure. I couldn't hear him through all the crying. So So no, I was crying.
It's been a stressful day.
So Leslie's like, okay, everything's falling apart. We should cancel this. And then Jerry shows up, and Leslie's like, Jerry, please tell me you did the normal Jerry thing and failed at your job.
You didn't pull a Jerry.
Yeah. And he's like, first of all, I don't like it when you use that term. But for the record, I came through, and there's almost 100 people out there, and they're like, Jerry, you had to do a good job. How dare you? So they all gang up on Jerry, and then they're like, let's just cancel this. And I'll do this, and you guys go to the nearest bar. And Tom knows it's Hurley's. Andy knows it's karaoke night. It's all wins at this point. And everybody's ready to go, except Ann says, no, we got to do this. And Ron is like, yes, I agree with Ann. We're a team. We're all going to work together. Because they recognize like the only reason Leslie's still running is because they told her they would help her.
Right.
So they can't abandon her now.
But this is also the point where Leslie's like, I used to look at this as like the scrappy upstart that her lack of experience was good, but now actually it might be a problem because she's seeing just how terrible these people are at all of that stuff.
Yeah, they're not good at this.
No,
and
they mean well. They mean well, right? I mean, it's not it's not that they're bad people. It's just they're not good at this.
Everything could have been great if it wasn't a basketball court. Or if it wasn't a hockey rink. Because as they go out to see the people, there's folks out there. Get on Your Feet starts playing, Stand Up, and Make It Happen. And they start walking out on this awesome red carpet, and then they stop abruptly. And Leslie's like, Tom, there's the carpet stopped. And he's like, that's all that we could afford. So then they have to shuffle across the ice without falling down. And all throughout, it is still playing just the first couple lines of Get on Your Feet, Stand Up, and Make It Happen. And it stops and it restarts. And Ron is holding the dog, and he's like, I'm holding the dog. He is peeing now. I am putting him down. And he was like, he's only got 3 legs. So it's all falling apart, and they finally get to the platform, and there's no stairs. So
Andy's already fallen down at this point.
Yes.
Ron's covered in dog pee.
And so Ron tries to give her a boost, but there's not enough leverage because he's slipping. And so they all lean on Ron to help Leslie get up on the platform. And they finally do.
Your feet.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. That is one of the best musical cues ever.
This is my other favorite thing. That's the ongoing Get on Your Feet joke. It's
the whole sequence is so good.
This whole sequence is, again, one of my favorite parts in all of Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, they really, really did a number here. It's so great.
And it's like it's like at the worst possible time they play that clip. They play the sound bite.
Yeah, because the sound guy is like, I want to help.
Right.
And it's super awkward right now.
Let's pump them up. And there's people, they fell. Get on your feet.
It seems like that's something that Tom would do,
right?
When Jerry is failing somehow,
right?
But now there's an external Tom running the soundboard, and it's so good, so great. And Leslie is committed to this, and she finally gets up on there, and she starts reading her speech, and starts as a loyal Pawnean. I've always been proud of this town, and my cards got out of here when they fell. Together we can defeat obese children. I'm sure that was something positive originally. So she's basically said like everything's a disaster, but it can only go up from here. If you follow my campaign, it will be interesting. And then Pistol Pete shows up, and he's like, I'm Pistol Pete, and around here I'm a Pawnee legend. I just wanted to say that I fully endorse Leslie Knope. She's got a great team behind her, and a vote for her is a slam dunk. Thanks, Pistol Pete. And then he goes for it. But wait, it's ice. It's not a basketball court. And right when he jumps, he slips and falls right on his head. And fortunately, Anne is a nurse, and she's there to get to him carefully. So, and Leslie's response is, Pistol Pete, everybody. Still got it. And that's the end of the rally. But cut back to Ben's at home, and Leslie comes over and it's like, hey, how was the rally? And he's like, oh, we nailed it.
If you're going for absolute and complete chaos,
Yeah. How's
nailed it.
pandemonium?
Right.
Pandemonium level high.
Got it.
And Leslie says, my campaign manager and I made a decision. We're going to fire the campaign manager and hire you. And Ben is hesitant. And because like he's poison. But Leslie's like, no, this team has a lot of heart, but zero know-how. And you're the one who can save us. And Chris comes in. He's like, look, Ben's going through something. I don't think he's going to. And then Ben just like, I'll do it. I'm in. I've done enough exploring.
Yeah.
So
he knows it's a good fit. Like even the way he says, I'll do it. He's like, I'll do it. Like this is the right call.
Yeah. I mean, he won mayor when he was 18 years old.
Well, and he's been working in local governments forever now. He knows all the ins and outs. He knows how this has been working. And yeah, he's a perfect fit for this.
Yeah. So it all makes sense. It's all coming together. And Leslie and Ben kiss, and April says, don't make out. It's making champions sad. So then the credit scene.
I love how she uses champion as a way to like dig at Anne through this entire episode too.
Right.
Shut up, Anne. I told you not to talk to me. Oh, that was champions. That wasn't me.
Yeah. So Anne and Leslie go to see how Pete is doing. And surprise, we felt really bad about the whole dredging up your past just to be publicly humiliated thing. So cookies and balloons. And Pete's like, thank you. And they feel bad. Is like, anything else we could do? And Pete's like, you could let me take you to dinner to Anne. And Anne's like, no, I can't because I'm married. And Leslie's like, you're not married. She's not married. And then Anne's last line of the episode, this is uncomfortable. So yeah. Of all the the credit scenes, I felt like this credit scene was the least necessary for the episode.
It wasn't very funny.
No. But the get on your feet sequence is so great. So great. Ron responding to the officer, like, we have a different philosophy about what a law is.
He's just like smiling. He's like smiling knowingly, like, yeah, come on. We can agree to disagree on these things.
Yeah. So I genuinely love this episode. The Claymaish. Oh man, would a depressed person be able to make this? No.
I know
So
today,
good.
I feel like, personally attacked by this, he's just doing any little activity that pops into his head. And I was like, oh man, just been Whiting this whole time. So,
yeah, but I have no response to that.
Yeah, that's why you make podcasts and stuff. So.
Yeah, well, most people making podcasts life has gone off the rails somewhere. So
that's right. This is where we all meet.
Here we are.
This is where we all ended up. We're with you. Thanks for joining us on our journey.
Yeah, we appreciate that you're willing to listen to our problems.
Talking about other people's problems in a fictional town.
Yeah, this episode was rated 8.6 out of 10.
I would rate it much higher.
I would give it in the 9s.
Sure.
The people under 18 gave it on average a 9.2 and out of 4 people. Males 9.0, females 10. One person under 18, I'm looking at IMDb's rating. One person under 18 gave this, and a woman gave this rating as 10. So anyway, I was looking for reviews to see if they had any, but I cannot find any actual reviews, which is frustrating.
That's okay. Ours is the only ones that matter.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
It's good. Watch it.
This cookie is bad. Yeah, I love this episode. So good. I'm looking forward to, now that Ben is on the team, jumping into the campaign proper. We're going to meet Bobby Newport soon.
Bobby Newport.
Yes, campaign shenanigans. Jen is
Jen's
coming.
Great. Yeah.
So many good things coming in this campaign season. And did you watch The West Wing?
Yes.
So like the campaign, like they did a really great job of like giving like campaign energy. Like everything was about getting reelected in the West Wing, right?
Right.
And so here, like I feel like they're doing a great job with the same kind of campaign energy in this this season, and it's for something that really doesn't matter.
Right.
It's for a council seat in a small town in Indiana.
Yeah.
But like the money that is being poured into this campaign is just unbelievable. It's like, what on earth? So
exactly, because that's the whole thing is like in a show, Parks and Recreation, like what could be happening? Like at some point you run out of raccoons and, you know, I don't know, people sleeping in slides. You got to, you know, make it bigger things. So, you know, now we have the election.
Yes. And elections are nothing but fun.
If we've learned anything
in real life and on television.
High quality entertainment.
Yeah, I could just more elections, please. Can we do elections every year? Oh man, wouldn't that be super fun?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, the next one is called Campaign Ad, which
so we do meet Bobby Newport.
Yeah, I think we meet Bobby Newport in the very next episode.
Oh, wonderful.
Or as I like to call him, Ant-Man.
Yes, I too like to call him that.
Same universe, confirmed. Yeah, so we'll see.
Wait, are you saying that Bobby Newport is a scam for Scott Lang, or is Scott Lang a scam for Bobby Newport?
I don't know. I think it's
which is the cover.
I would like to think that Bobby Newport is the cover for Ant-Man.
Like he's on the run.
Yeah, Scott Lang.
So Scott Lang is on the run. So he runs to Indiana and fools Nick Newport Sr. and all of the Newport family into believing that they have a son named Bobby. And while he's there, instead of like hiding out in Baskin Robbins, because Baskin Robbins always knows, they always find out, he decides to run for city council.
Sure, it's a perfect cover.
I think so. Yeah, it all makes sense now.
Okay.
Cool. Wonderful.
All right.
Baskin Robbins always finds out. That's maybe my favorite line in Ant-Man. So, all right, listener, we would love to know about your favorite line from Ant-Man. So email us, parksandconversation@gmail.com. This last week, we crossed a download threshold that was exciting. We have 5,000 total downloads. And some people will be like, that doesn't sound very much. It probably isn't in the grand scheme of podcasts, but it's a lot for us. And so thank you for listening and telling your friends, rate, review, subscribe, like, do all the things. And but we would love to hear from you. And so please, I lost Jeremy there.
Oh, did you hear me now?
He just disappeared. You're back. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say 5,000 of anything is really good.
Yeah. 5,000 pennies.
5,000 pieces of rice. That's a lot of rice to eat.
It is. So please email us, parksandconversation@gmail.com, or follow us at Twitter, on Twitter at parksandconvos. And we'd love to hear from you. So be well. And Jeremy, I'll see you later.
I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.